Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. We're here eventually on our 50th piece of new software. We try to go for the fancy stuff available. It never works, but hopefully we are on air at the moment. This is a match preview for Aston Villa against West Ham, which is a Sunday 2 p.m. kickoff. This show is in association with BETMATE. And if you want to join our Sunday 2 p.m. league, you can. You'll get the chance to win your share of £600. And being the good BETMATE customer that I am, I've already preloaded my team. I've done my team for the weekend Sunday games, which should flash up on the screen any second now. Neil's with me here as well. By the way, Neil, I don't know whether we can hear you at the moment. You there?
I am. I'm
Yes,
here indeed.
Here's Neil. So this is my team based on the Sunday 2 p.m. games, which is Villa, West Ham and Wolves against Newcastle. So I've gone relatively Newcastle heavy because Nick Pope's had a good start to the season. Trippier, exactly the same, although I do think he should have been sent off last week, in my opinion. Got to put a couple of Villa players in there as well. So I've gone with Cash and Watkins. Bruno Guimaraes, because I think he's a lovely footballer. Souček, because I think he'll absolutely bully Villa's midfield to death. So I might as well put him in my side and get some kind of joy out of Villa being hopeless in midfield. And then to finish it off, because he hasn't scored in the Premier League yet and he's probably going to get his first start at the weekend, let's put Scamacca in there. Yeah, you know the rest. We're Villa fans. We know what happens for these kind of things. So yeah, that's my team for my BETMATE this week. Join the 2 p.m. league. There's my dog, by the way. Join our league and you'll get to try and win your share of £600 and you'll get to try and beat me as well, which I'm sure will be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Here's Neil. Neil, we're here to preview Aston Villa v West Ham on Sunday. Obviously, it's on a Sunday because West Ham have played in the Europa League last night. They won. They're through now to the real thing. Scored some nice goals, actually. Scamacca, as I mentioned earlier, off the mark. But in the Premier League, West Ham are stuck on 0 points, 0 wins, not looked particularly great in any of their games. So, Neil, we know the drill, don't we?
Yeah, it's going to be 4-0 like it was last year against Southampton. We're going to win 4-0. It's going to be a 90-minute performance and it's going to be completely against the grain. Or it's probably going to be 2-0 with Declan Rice and Souček scoring and dominating the game like they did on the 30th of October last year. And the reason I remember it was because it was the day after my daughter was born and I was watching it in the maternity ward and I was supposed to be all joyous because I was just after having a new child and I sat there with my head in my hands going, what are we doing bringing Ashley Young on in central midfield? So
I mean, was it a more painful experience for your other half, or was it a more painful experience for you?
well, at
Probably
least
for
she
you,
could
Neil,
get an
watching us get
epidural.
decimated 4-1.
I couldn't get an epidural watching Aston Villa, although I did try and ask for it, so it didn't happen.
It's an unpleasant game. That was as we started to realise that Dean Smith's tenure was probably coming towards an end. I think Mings was dropped for that game as well, wasn't it? It was Courtney Hawes came in. Ben Johnson, I think, scored his only goal he scored for West Ham. Declan Rice scored a P-roller. Antonio bullied us. Jared Bowen started to show the form that made him get into the England squad towards the end of the season. It was just a real bad day. West Ham, I was speaking to a West Ham fan yesterday, or on Wednesday, at Sky, and he was saying, we're hopeless, you'll beat us, we're rubbish at the moment. But I was just saying to him, Watford came to Villa Park last season in a completely hopeless run where they hadn't done anything of note for weeks and weeks and weeks. And they turned up and they beat us 1-0. And over the years, Villa have just been the gift that gives teams exactly what they need in these situations. And being perfectly honest, West Ham are a team that we haven't had a good record against recently. They've had a stupid amount of luck against us in recent years as well. The West Ham fan, again, that I was talking to was saying that they've had some really lucky things go for them in the last few years in games. But once again, we're coming up against a physical side, a big side, and that's our Achilles heel. They're the kind of sides that we can't deal with. We haven't made any additions in the week. They've again gone and made some. They've got Emerson in from Chelsea, who may come in and play left wing back. I know they've had problems in defence, West Ham. They've got Paqueta, who looks like he's on his way for 50 million. That's an absolute hell of a signing for West Ham. He luckily won't be playing against us. West Ham are building. Villa, we're not really sure. Steven Gerrard intimated today that we're not really close on anything now. Ideally, after the last league performance, I know we won in the Cup. We probably would have liked a new face in before this week, just to try and galvanise us a little bit.
I don't believe a word Steven Gerrard says about transfers anymore. I think he's like, it wasn't him who released the SAR news, and I think what he's doing is completely locking it up over that, because the club took a pretty big hit on social media because of the SAR news that turned out not to be, and I think he's just playing his cards close to his chest. I'd imagine that there are things ongoing over the next few days, but obviously they're not going to be here before Sunday, and maybe he doesn't want them as a needless how will I put it, distraction maybe before the game on Sunday. But you're right that this team, this specific type of team, and this specific setup of a team that West Ham have, strong in the middle, big strong men, try to dominate the ball in the middle of the field and get it to their crafty forwards. Um, we never play well against those. We can't defend against when teams attack with four, and we can't break down teams who sit deep with two big strong midfielders, like we saw against Crystal Palace. And West Ham set up very much like Crystal Palace. So Aston Villa, hopefully they learned something from their trip to Sellers Park last week. They can deal with the likes of Fornals if he's playing, or whoever starts in that three behind the front striker, who may be Skamaka, maybe
I
Antonio
think it
again.
will. I think it'll be Skamaka. I think he'll start him.
I think he will too. I think he will too. But the big thing here is, how do you break down Rice and Souček? And then once you break down Rice and Souček, you're bearing down on that new guy from what's his name? How do you pronounce it? Kierer from the German guy. Carrere, is
Correct.
it?
I think.
And
I mean, both of us are probably wrong.
Yeah, so like they're two big men as well, and maybe Kurt Zuma comes back in for Ogbonna, but look, they've got plenty of experience back there in the centre half position, and they've got those two people who are going to sit in front, and then they've got Benrahma, Fornals, Lanzini, Cornet. Yeah, look, they've a nice blend of players within that team. They should be able to click. They're a team that David Moyes has instigated his setup in for the last couple of years. But I will say it again, Aston Villa have good players too. We have got good players too, and as I say, all eyes will not really be on the team sheet for this Sunday, because we know who we've got.
And
But
my eyes are
going
on
to
the
be
team
on.
sheet, because do you not think Douglas Luiz perhaps did enough in midweek to get himself into the team?
Well,
I think he has to play. I've
yeah,
been saying it all season. He has to play.
but my big thing with the eyes being on the team sheet is more, it's going to be in the dugout, because what have we learned? What are we going to implement, and how are we going to set up? Are we going to move from this what seems to be a pretty stubborn 4-3-3? Are we going to get it right? Are we going to play 2 9s? Are we going to play 2 10s? So the names on the team sheet, there's going to be no sparklingly outstandingly name, pie in the sky name, or name that just comes in out of nowhere. It's going to be the same 18 players, 19 players that we see on match days. So for me, it's not really a massive thing. It's how we set up and how we're actually going to play this game. And do we start looking at, maybe adapting the way we play against the team that's got got a lot of firepower here and control in the middle of the field? And maybe are we just comfortable getting draws and sitting back even at home? Like, we can't be too proud to play the way that gets points and the way that gets results for the team, because realistically speaking, we scored a goal against Crystal Palace away from home, and we were gung ho for the next 2 minutes. We got caught in the counter, and that's just lack of preparation, or that's just lack of footballing intelligence on the field. So for me, I just want to see that. I don't really care who plays at this stage. I just want to see coherency on the field.
I mean, I don't think we'll move away from the three in midfield. That seems
No,
to be
I
what
don't think so
Gerrard's
either.
wed to. I don't think he's going to just change it right now. I'm not saying he shouldn't, but I just think we will see a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-1-2. That'll be what we do. But I do think Douglas Luiz, either way, he needs to be in. We can't fight fire with West Ham, because we don't have any
Correct.
physicality to bring in. There's nothing we can do. They're a bigger side than us. We've already been in disarray from set pieces the entire season. I imagine it's going to be another uncomfortable watch from set players defensively for Villa at the weekend. But what we can do is give ourselves more of a chance by getting Luiz in the team, someone who can get the ball quickly to Coutinho, or get the ball quickly to Buendia or Bailey, whoever's playing in those front three positions, and run at the defence, cause the defence problems. Some of their centre backs when they play aren't the most mobile. You got to cause them problems. Watkins has caused West Ham a few
Exactly.
problems over recent years. He had that one game where he got everything right, but VAR kept absolutely killing him. He scored against them last season at Villa Park. Watkins has caused them problems over the last few seasons, so he has to play. I think Watkins has to play anyway, and whatever setup Villa play, I think Watkins has to be in that best 11 for me. But Douglas Luiz, he has to be in the team now. We can't just keep going. I know what you're saying about the change of formation. Obviously, none of us really think he's going to do that. But you can't then just keep rolling out the same midfield three,
Correct.
because that isn't working. You played Luiz against Bolton in the cup, maybe with one eye on this game potentially. I just think he has to play. I know you're saying you don't care about who does play, but you cannot just keep doing that same midfield three, rolling out the same three players, because it hasn't really worked. We've not really had much control in the away games, arguably a little bit more control in the Everton home game. West Ham, like I said, are a team that we usually struggle against, and the type of team we struggle against. So I just think he has to do something different and put Dougie in there.
Yeah, and I think if Dougie comes in, I think like yes, people are going to say McGinn doesn't deserve to start, and he's captain, and it's people like you see all this stuff on social media that, and he had a poor game. McGinn did against Crystal Palace. We're not going to shirk away from that. We're going to call it as we see it. But I think he
They
keeps
all
his
do.
place.
When we lose, we lose together because no one's good. That I think I don't see how you can pick out any scapegoats in really because they're all below par.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm getting at here is that he's going to keep McGinn in, and he's if he does, and he's going to bring Douglas Luiz in in instead of Jacob Ramsey, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that from the fact that it does like even if he does that, it allows Douglas Luiz to kind of hold his position a small bit more. It does offer us a small bit more of a defensive mindset from that side of the field. And yes, people are talking about Douglas Luiz's best position being an 8. We still need to see that in the Premier League on a more consistent basis. Played very well there last season against Liverpool when he came in, and against I think it was Man City when he started there as well when Carney came on and had a shot saved by Ederson. But I'm with you on that. I think it's probably high time that he does get a start. There's rumors floating around that he signed a new contract and it's only waiting to be announced. There's obviously nothing official on that, so maybe Douglas Luiz does see game time at the weekend. But going back to what I said at the very start is we have some really good players. That's kind of the conundrum for us is we've got some really good players and so do West Ham. The only difference is we don't have that height and we don't have that drive in midfield. So bringing in somebody like Douglas Luiz who has anchored that sixth position for us maybe and look, if you want to drop him back a small bit further, do. But if you don't and you want to play him in the eighth position, maybe he's going to be a bit more disciplined, or he's going to need to be a bit more disciplined, should I say, anyway, against this midfield for us to get anything from this. Because as I say, if we start to click anywhere in the field, specifically in the forward line or in midfield, we do have the players to cause teams problems. We just haven't seen it on a consistent basis since realistically speaking,
When he first came in.
20, 2020, maybe.
No, I think when Gerrard first came in, although we
Yes,
lost games,
correct, correct,
there was
correct.
a style. You could see what he was trying to do. I think there was
Mm.
elements of consistency. Then we were at that point we would beat the team. We were beating the teams you'd expect us to beat, and then we were just falling short to the top teams, which I think Villa fans can probably live with. I'd take that now. I'd be very
Yeah,
very happy with just beating the teams that you would expect us to win or expect us to give a good game, and then you have a good go against the big teams and just fall short. I think Villa fans can accept that. I think they can
yeah,
live with that. It's these performances. The two away performances have been absolutely appalling.
yes,
They've not been good. You can't dress that up. They haven't been good at all. So I think people can forgive, just falling short if you're not quite good enough, but you've had a good go and you've seen some kind of coherency in your team. Nothing from them two away games. So the home games now are massive because we've shown that away from home we're very lightweight. We're kind of treading water when we go away from home. We've got some tough games coming up as well.
mm,
This home game on Sunday, it's huge actually for both teams. I think whichever manager, if well, I know we could draw, but if either manager loses this game, I think they come under a little bit of pressure, which I think is very harsh on David Moyes. In all honesty, the job he's done there. But I've heard rumblings that the fans aren't happy with, and the players aren't happy with the style of football and things like that. But in the main, it's been winning football for
yeah,
West Ham. I wouldn't complain about that. But obviously, if you're sitting bottom of the league, there's something wrong. You got even after four games, if you're bottom of the league, there's a little bit of problem somewhere. Especially a team like West Ham, you would have thought we're going to be pushing towards top six this season. They've recruited heavily, backed the manager. It's almost like Moyes has probably been waiting for this backing for years. He's finally got it, and now bizarrely they're bottom of the league. But I think if a manager loses, I think they're under enormous pressure, which I don't think they should be at this stage of the season. I don't think any manager should be under massive pressure. But that's just the football world that we live in right now.
mm. There's a big argument to be made, I think, with this West Ham team that they were squeezing so much talent and like every last drop of talent out of Mikel Antonio for years and years under David Moyes for the 2 years. And I think there was always kind of that question as to if that dried up and it didn't have that massive physical presence and his goals dried up, would everything behind him dry up as well? Because obviously they had fortified the defence and those two giants in midfield that we consistently talk about. And he does have those playmaking players behind him that move players around, move defenders around, move midfielders around. And when he starts to dry up, and then Skamaka coming in. A lot of pressure on those two strikers up there.
Skamaka's a good sign. He's a smart sign. I've seen his goals. I've looked at his clips from last season. He's a dangerous player. I think he's a player that will suit the Premier League. Skamaka, I think he'll get double figures for West Ham if he gets the game time. You'd imagine the plan is for him to be the number one striker because they spent big money on him. I think he gets himself in the box. He gets on the end of things. He backs himself. Skamaka, he's on the move. A lot of teams now are moving towards that advanced forward now that got a bit of size about them again, but are mobile. Haaland, Darwin Núñez. Newcastle have just signed Isak, who's going to be an incredible player. I think that's such a good signing for Newcastle. I think that's a signing that whatever happens, Newcastle will do well out of that signing. I think that's a really, really good signing, an exciting signing for the Premier League as well. But Skamaka, he's got some size about him as well. Teams are moving now towards that more physical like play, and then Villa, we've got no physicality whatsoever. That is a bit concerning that teams do seem to be going towards that model now, and we seem to be trying something else that was like Barcelona 10 years ago.
It's very much about athletes, and it's like athletes are getting bigger, taller, stronger. And there'll come a time whereby, yes, you might be very, very skillful, and the Messis of this world, and I've often thought, and I've often said it as well, that Messi could be the last of his kind. He could really be the last of his kind to be that number one player in the world, but without having that, that stature, that physical stature as well as everything else to go with it. But you are right. You see it in lots of other sports. People are getting bigger, faster, stronger, and the reason is that they're selecting athletes, natural athletes at younger ages, and working with them and working on them, and maybe manufacturing players as well. That could be labelled at a couple of guys, and in Italy at times it was labelled at Scamacca, but when you see him, he knows exactly where the back of the net is. They labelled that at Dusan Vlahovic as well. When he first moved to Italy, they labelled that he was a bit of a manufacturer player, but no, he certainly isn't. And look, Lewandowski, I think, is the guy who's really broke the mold, and the Harry Kanes of this world. They broke the mold in that aspect and bring it back to the Drogba type striker. And teams are finding these players and exploiting that because, as I say, they're few and far between, though. They are few and far between. They're tough to find.
Yeah, Chelsea last week against Leeds, and Leeds aren't the most physical team in the world, but they just got outrun, got outfought. They didn't really have any physicality in their front line, Chelsea, and they look pretty feeble up top. I just think teams do seem to be moving more towards having 6 foot plus. Did I think of the good Villa teams in my lifetime? There's probably been about 3. You look back and you think, like, we played 3 at the back under John Gregory, for example. I know this is a completely different footballing time, so in a way, what I'm about to say is completely invalid. But set pieces, I'm worried about set pieces on Sunday against West Ham. Creswell deliveries, the big boys coming into the box. We've got Tyrone Mings, who's of any substance, any size, and that is literally it. That concerns me. We had Hugo Ekiog in the back 3. So you had your 3 centre-backs good in the air, but then you had Ian Taylor in midfield, who was 6 foot plus. You had Dion Dublin, 6 foot plus, coming back from set pieces as well, and which had a bit of size, a bit of physicality about us. This side just doesn't have that. And in a lot of games, I do think that may cause us problems.
And I think one of the reasons that we don't see Coutinho and Buendia together is because the two of them are wallflowers from that point of view. They're both small, compact guys. And, if you're going to play 2 10s in that aspect, one of them is going to have to come back and defend the corners. And much and all as Buendia does, we've seen him come back into the box last season. Sometimes he gives away fouls. And he gets caught in the melee as well there. It's bad enough having the players that we do have back there, but bringing back even smaller players as well. So that could be one reason. I don't think it's a valid reason because you should be able to sort out a set piece. Your striker should be able to come back. You should still be able to leave one man the edge of the box and a Coutinho up top as well. You should be able to sort that out. But for me, you're dead right. Like one of the, and that could be one of the reasons why. And I'm going to say it, and the chat's probably going to go nuts at the moment. But like, there is more redeeming factors to somebody like a Jan Bednarek than I suppose social media gives him credit for. And he's a big guy who wins balls in the air. And arguably, if Aston Villa could sort out their defending by winning balls in the air comfortably and confidently, well, it could take an awful lot of pressure off this defense, and maybe take some pressure off the midfield as well. And in no way am I saying that he's my number one choice, but I could understand why they would sign somebody like Bednarek. And let's see what happens over the next few days, because we do need a bit of height somewhere in this team.
That's why he signed Diego Carlos.
Yeah. Well, he's only 6 foot. I know he's a bulky guy, but
he's a physical presence, isn't
yes,
he?
yeah,
The strength in there, and we've lost that now. It's not there, and people have a go at Austin McPhee sometimes. And part of me thinks, if you're a set piece coach,
yeah,
you've got one guy who's good in the air in the whole team. Because Concer's, that's not his game as a centre back. He's more
no,
on the floor defending on the floor rather than aerial duels. Concer Mings is the one who's going to come and head everything. But people have got Austin McPhee because we're not defending set pieces well, but he hasn't got much to work with, I would say. If I was a set piece coach, you'd be wanting at least 3 or 4 6 foot plus players in your team. That's just my opinion, but it's all well and good having a go at him. But when teams are coming at you and they're twice the size of you, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose the ball in the air.
Dan, do you know
Yeah,
we've been talking about Aston Villa's height there for a while? I'm going to put you on the spot with a little quiz I like to call "Answer My Damn Question."
go
So
on in.
it's
I'm not gonna like the answer. I don't think.
what is the difference between the height of the Aston Villa team and the West Ham team?
It's gonna be something stupid like Villa are taller, isn't it?
I don't
Is it
know.
gonna?
It's called "Answer My Damn Question."
Okay, so what? How am I formatting the first 11, the entire squad? How are we doing this?
It's the first 11, I
So
think.
from the last game,
It's at who scored. I'm pulling this directly from who scored. So
we won't
the
say who
lineups
scored
that
off
who
one of
scored have.
my
I'll give you the
employees.
lineups, okay?
Got it.
Martinez, Digne, Mings, Konza, Cash, McGinn, Kamara, Ramsey, Buendia, Watkins, Ings. That's Aston Villa's lineup.
Yep.
West Ham's lineup is Fabianski, Johnson, Zuma, Kerr, whose name I can't pronounce, Cresswell, Rice, Suchek, Bowen, Lanzini, Fornals, Antonio.
You say that 3 off the striker. It really
Yeah.
brings it down, doesn't it? I reckon it's probably level. I'll go level. Is it the
Aston
same?
Villa's first 11's average height is 182.9 centimeters
It's my
average.
height.
Certainly not mine. And West Ham's is 180.7.
No. But it's like I said, the 3 off the striker brings that down. But
Yeah.
Antonio, Suchek, Zuma, Rice, who else with the Carrere? God, I've mullied his name now as well. There's 5 players 6 foot plus there. And a goalkeeper, 6. 6 players 6 foot plus. Villa, I know Concer's 6 foot, but I don't think he's particularly great in the air. Do you know what I'm saying? You've come in with the facts. I'm not going to argue with who scored because, as I say, they employ me and pay me money, so I'm not going to argue with what they're saying. So I'm shocked. I did say to you it'd be something silly.
Yeah.
But you when you were watching that game on Sunday and we're defending that first corner,
Yeah.
and it looks like the Alamo's coming forward and Villa are there like Tom Thumb defending the Alamo, then we will see, because it will not look like that. But yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's write a quick prediction then before we go now. I'm shocked at that. I knew
I'm
it was
going to
going to
go
be something
Aston Villa
stupid.
2, West Ham 1. I'm going to go for a win. Why not? Let's stand on them while they're down.
I'm going to predict us to lose. I just think everything, all the things about West Ham not scoring, not getting any points, the set pieces, the size, they all scare me. And often if I predict us to lose, we win. I don't predict us to lose very often. So I'm going to go Aston Villa 1, West Ham 3. I don't like doing it. But this is the kind of team I just don't think we can compete with at the moment in terms of physicality and size. So yeah, this has been the Physicality and Size podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, because that is literally all we've talked about for the last 24 minutes. Thanks to our sponsors, BETMATE, and thanks to Neil for joining me to have a chin wag as well. We'll be back with a post-match point probably on Monday night after the Aston Villa West Ham game on Sunday. Those that are going, I'll see you there. Enjoy it. Hopefully we get some kind of enjoyment out of the game. Enjoy your Saturdays, because they're not going to be ruined before Sunday. And yeah, up the Villa.